All right, it's finished. Leicester 1, Tottenham 1. This is your instant match reaction for the game. And what a very, very disappointing result on the opening day of the season. What should have been probably a routine victory for Tottenham, considering how dominant we were for a lot of the game, how many chances we created, especially at 1-0 up. You know, we were the ones in the ascendancy. Solanke missed some gilt-edged opportunities, especially in that first half. And we were looking good in that first half, weren't we? Took the lead through Pedro Porro with a brilliant assist from James Maddison. Looked like Tottenham were purring. Looked like, you know, Solanke in the team. We were creating chances. We were getting the ball to him. And it looked like he'd really acclimatised to the team. But, you know, it's the same old story in the Premier League. You don't take your chances, and games can change very quickly. That's exactly what happened in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to say very, very disappointing in the end. And I think Ange will not be best pleased. Sim said it. First half, we should have been 2 or 3 goals up at half time. We didn't give Leicester a sniff. They're trying to play their football, trying to play through us, and we just kept getting the ball off them, winning it high up the park, making chances, not really getting in behind them, nothing hugely gilt-edged, and even the goal that came from Maddison's lovely cross and Porro's flicked header, you know, that didn't cut them open. But in the second half, I have to say, we stopped getting crosses in the box, and we're always going to give away a chance, and Leicester took their kind of one gilt-edged chance. Jamie Vardy at the back stick wasn't supposed to plays, then gets subbed off and goes to the Spurs fans how he's won a Premier League title and we haven't. And in the end, I have to say it, I think 1-1 draw is a fair result, because the way that Leicester played after they got their equaliser, the fans were up, they were first to every second ball, and we lost the plot a little bit. And a lot has been talked about, and I'll say it myself. I've said I'm glad that we're building a kind of young, hungry squad, but there's a lack of experience there. You know, Christian Romero, I think, on the pitch a little bit more, needs to drive us a bit more, and Sonny as well. And sometimes do a bit smarter things. And if you've just conceded a goal in a game you should be winning at, and the fans are up, you go down injured. 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes, you go down injured, you sit on the floor, and you let it calm down. In the end, Bentancur got injured properly, and it did calm down, and then we started playing football again. But we didn't do that for a period, I'd say, of about 10-15 minutes. And it would not surprise me a little bit if Ange Postecoglou, in some of his post-match press conferences, says we need to be a little bit smarter. Now, to look for positives from that second half, I thought Bergvall, when he came on, was excellent, really brave on the ball. I thought Archie Gray looked decent. Bergvall did have one difficult moment where he was given a difficult pass by Romero out on the touchline, and he was dispossessed, and it led to a near chance. But apart from that, I'd say, look, it's a game of 2 halves. In the first half, Spurs at their best. In the second half, we let a promoted team on their first day get back into it, fans up. And like I said, in the end, it may sound negative, but I totally saw them getting a winner there in terms of, Leicester. And in the end, that might be an important point, but disappointing from the first half for sure.
Yeah, considering, you know, this was a season, you know, Ange's second season, we really wanted to kick on from the first game. To draw in this manner is really disappointing. But let's talk about Dom Solanke making his debut. First time we've seen him in a Spurs shirt. Did play all 90 minutes. And it'll be probably what we'd say a harsh lesson for him, because I thought he definitely impacted the team really positively, especially in the first half, was really getting in amongst it, holding up the ball well, had a lot of chances. And I think he definitely, especially that chance in the second half he'll be looking back at that. I think you can probably say he had 3 big chances during the game. Two headers, and then that big chance in that second half where he had a touch, probably should have picked his spot, hit it straight at the keeper. And if he's, you know, obviously I was encouraged by what I saw from him in terms of the impact he made on the team. But I was a bit disappointed in the second half. We didn't get enough of the ball to him. We didn't, give enough supply. But as well, he'll be disappointed in himself on his debut, especially getting that amount of chances, missing them, which, you know, maybe last season he wasn't missing those chances. And it has cost us, 3 points here. And it's a harsh lesson for him on his opening game for Spurs.
I think it's especially hard for Spurs fans almost, because the chance in the second half where the ball came to him in the box, good first touch, gets it out of his feet, and he's probably, 8-9 yards out, and he's on the right-hand side, and all the defenders are coming over to the side, and you know that Harry Kane just inside of his foot, through the defender's legs, bottom left-hand corner. It's his stock finish, where Solanke, I think, probably panicked a little bit and thought, 8-9 yards out, what's my best chance? Smash it. And he didn't get enough of it to kind of roof it over the keeper, and it just went straight down the keeper's throat, who was easily able to parry it away. I agree with you, Sim. I think Solanke's runs look good. I thought his hold-up play looked good. He's only had 4 days of training, I think it is, with the Spurs team, so he'll get more used to it. But you do have to say, and I mentioned it earlier in the show, Spurs have a history, really, of probably since Berbatov, maybe the re-signings of Keane and Defoe, not having success signing strikers. And what we do not want with Solanke is a run of games where he's not scoring. But I have to say, Richarlison came on at the end and had an absolute, a brilliant chance at the front stick from a free kick from Bergvall. He just needs to flick it, and he's tried to get up and do too much with it, and it's hit the side of his head, and he's actually on the outside of the near post. So I don't know whether he thinks he's closer to the goal in terms of inside the near post or not, but it was the wrong technique. It didn't work out. And Richarlison, if you're him, you're like, you've got to score those goals now because he's not going to be starting games otherwise. But overall, I'd give Solanke maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10 at most. Yeah, he had 3 good chances, 2 headers which were difficult, one of which I think he almost headed it too well and it went straight down the keeper's throat. But the chance in the second half, top-level striker, big chance into the far corner there, and he just didn't make the most of it, unfortunately.
How do you think Ange will be assessing this game? Because up until, it's 1-0 up until Leicester score, they barely had a sniff, didn't they? They literally couldn't get a look in. Spurs were definitely looking like the most likely team to score. Just before they scored, right? Solanke has that chance.
Yeah.
Bentancur has a really good chance as well to make it 2-0. Like, even up until that moment where they scored, just before the hour mark, we're well on top of the game. We should have really been out of sight. They get their goal. Once they get their goal, for sure, I would say for the next 5 to 10 minutes, their tails are up.
Yeah.
They maybe even could have got a second, I think. Indeed had that chance, which Vicario had to save.
Vardy had the chance to...
Vardy could have made that 2-1. But apart from that 10-minute spell, you have to say we regained control once we made the subs. Bergvall, Kulusevski, I thought, was making a decent impact as well. Gray had a bit of an impact on the team. And at that point, we maybe didn't create too many chances, but we're definitely looking a lot sharper. Kulusevski had that chance where he didn't shoot, where he probably should have tried to feed Solanke. So, again, going in that period, on top, could have eased probably, you wouldn't have been surprised if we scored a goal in those last 10 minutes.
Sure.
But so, does Ange look at this game thinking, look, luck went against us in this game, and, on another day we win this game 4-5-1? Or will he be looking at this bit concerned that we didn't kill the game off?
Yeah. I mean, a bit of both, I guess. He'll definitely talk about, I think, needing to learn from the experience and once again kind of, letting a team back into the game where they shouldn't be allowed to be back in the game. For me, there's a little bit of living by the sword, dying by the sword. If you think about the goal we conceded, Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side, he kind of has he's kind of facing his own goal, isn't he? And he's got 2 players on his back. And I think he kind of tries to turn and play a little intricate ball. And I think there's an element there where it's like Ange Postecoglou is always drumming into them. Be proactive. Try and find a ball. And potentially there's an argument to say if Brennan Johnson plays that ball better and it goes through the legs of those 2 players, maybe we're in. But instead, they made 2 chances off it. One that kind of whips straight across the box, which we got away with, and then the cross that came in as a result of that. And it's kind of, like I said, living by the sword and dying by the sword. We gave the ball away in a dangerous area, and we gave a Premier League team a chance. And that, I'm afraid, and this is no shade on Ange Postecoglou, who I love, I think he's the right man, but that is the difference between the Scottish Premier League, the Japanese League, and the Premier League. You give a team a chance, they will score it. And then that changes the whole game, and the crowd are on our backs. And yeah, I know what you mean. We did regain control after maybe, I would say, you said 5-10, I'd say maybe 10, 15 minutes actually after the goal maybe. And we looked the most likely to score in that kind of final 10 minutes of the game. But by then, it's like something kind of perfect has to happen, and it didn't. And you have to say the Jamie Vardy chance was probably, the 2 Jamie Vardy chances, the goal and then the second chance, probably the best chances of the game. And Vicario saved us. He made a vital save there. He basically, I think, hedged his bets and thought Vardy's going to go across me here, and he gets his big left hand on it. And you've got to give him some credit for that today, because if we'd gone away with a 2-1 defeat tonight, we'd be a bit of a laughing stock, to be frank. And look, a lot of it comes, but I would agree, maybe Ange will come out a little bit and say we could have been or should have been 5-0 up, but we weren't. And he's just paid £60 million for a striker to make sure we are. And look, it's his first game and he's only had 4 days, so we've got to give him a chance. But he's going to need to score soon, because big money means big pressure, means big press and big social media reaction. And people will be laughing at him at some of those missed chances. I don't think fairly, but that will happen. That's the reality of modern football.
Yeah, I think how assessing the game, I think for the first hour he'll probably have been really happy with how he played, and I don't think he'll just be happy with the chances we created, which we did create a lot. I think he'll also be happy that we did also give Leicester very little. Leicester did pretty much nothing for an hour, and they did score with their first shot on target, and we should have been outside. We should have been at least 2-0 up at that point. So I think Andrew will definitely look at that and maybe not be too overly concerned with that portion, but I'm sure, given how we reacted to the goal, he allowed Leicester to take control of the game for that little period. We allowed them to get their tails up. That'll be a major disappointment to him, and he'll definitely have to look at how we reacted to the goal. As you say, we are a young group, and that experience of having to ride those waves of when the opposition have control and where have they got their tails up. That's all comes with learning experience for a lot of these younger players. Albeit at that period, I don't know how many young players are actually on the pitch, but. I definitely think there's there's clearly stuff to improve on. But, as a Spurs fan, looking for the way we start the season, are alarm bells ringing for you just yet? Or are you still, I know it's a draw against a promoted side, disappointing, but we played well enough to be excited about what we can do.
Not alarm bells, but I think concentration and leadership is needed. And I'm going to single out Christian Romero a bit. I just saw in the comments someone mentioning him. And you've got to say, Christian Romero, for their goal, does just run past Jamie Vardy, and there is a defender in front of him marking the player in front of him. So he's got to sniff out the danger there. And one thing I'd say about Romero, who I love, and I think he's one of the top 3 to 5 centre-halves in the world, I don't think he runs past him for Argentina. Do you know what I mean? I think he sniffs the danger a bit better. And I don't know if it was like a little bit of overconfidence or whatever, but he's got to sniff the danger. The most dangerous player on the park for Leicester is Jamie Vardy. So just make sure if that cross is going to come in, Vardy is not going to score at the back post. And look, Porro should have been more narrow as well. But look, I thought Romero and Van de Ven had a good game. I thought in general, they all played really well until Leicester got that goal. But Romero has to just be a bit smarter there. And look, I'm quite positive in general, but I'll give some I'll say that was his fault.
And what frustrates me a lot about the goal is there's another goal that we've conceded where there's a player free at the back post. I did this whole video about how we could keep conceding goals and chances at the back post. And it's happened yet again. And people were saying, it's because we didn't have our first choice back four. And I kept saying this isn't a personnel issue. This is how we set up. It's a problem. It's not just the personnel who's on the pitch which is causing the problem. A lot of it is to do with how we're setting up. And look, we conceded it again today with our first choice back four on the pitch and another goal with the back post. To be fair, we didn't concede too many chances today, but that was one of the few chances we did, and the chances we did concede were good quality. So it's something we've got to fix. But I am confident if we can keep creating this level of chances every game, we're going to win more games than we lose.
For sure.
If we do that. But it's ultimately, first game of the season, you've got to be so frustrated that this is a Leicester side who coming into this game low confidence. They've just lost their manager. They could even be facing a points deduction this season. We spoke to a Leicester fan before the game. He was saying everyone was expecting to get battered and just wanted this game over and done with. And we've allowed them to come away with a draw with the fact that we've missed all these chances and we've had control and then lost it really frustratingly. So that's got to be a major frustration on the opening game of the season. But I do still believe there was enough good football on show to get me excited about what we can do this season. But the fact that we want a big season, dropping 2 points like this is always going to be really frustrating and a bit concerning. But look, let's hope we can put it right next week. Obviously the Premier League never stops, and look, it was a frustrating opening game, and a 1-1 draw is a really bad result, and also especially considering how every other team in the top six on the weekend made light work of their fixtures. But
except Chelsea.
Except Chelsea.
Oh, yeah,
right.
top six, he said, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Look, it's only the first game and we could definitely put it right, but we just got to make sure, probably have to beat a big team now to make up for this result.
Well, Everton at home next, isn't it? And then Newcastle away, then Arsenal, isn't it? So, run of fixtures, but what do you want? you've got to learn from it. You've got to get there. And like you said, some beautiful football played. We will make chances and we will score goals.
All right, well, let's talk. Let's see some super chats quickly, and then we'll get in. We're going to be moving on to a post-match fan show. Oliver Kearsley says, year after year, nothing ever seems to change. Always hearing played well, but outplayed them, but not good enough. Never going to win anything with this mindset. What the hell, Maddison, Son, and Brennan? going in on Maddison, Son and Brennan in there. Well, I have to say, second half, especially Son and Brennan, majorly frustrating. I think when it comes to Maddison, he definitely tired in that second half, but at least he was still trying to impact the game, whereas I felt the other two weren't really doing that. George says, can't be 1-1 from a dominant position, not good enough. So those are some harsh words. Look, there are going to be a lot of unhappy Spurs fans tonight, that's for sure, after that result.
Of course there are. And, it's, like you said, especially when all the other teams have won their games. But, it's a difficult one. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know how many of you in the comments or at home believe in this, but it's like there are literal games where Sky pick them because they think things like this could happen. We turned off once, it changed the game. And, that's why it was picked. Big night for Leicester. They're interviewing Jamie Vardy now. They've given him man of the match. It's all part of what they can envision kind of happening. And Vardy's having his big moment. Wouldn't surprise me if he didn't score another goal this season. That's how Spurs that could be. But he has his little moment. Good for you, Vardy. I imagine the Spurs fans were absolutely chanting about his wife the whole time. And therefore, that's why he gave it the big one Premier League title to me, none to you. And fair play. He was Johnny on the spot. Was in the right place at the right time, got his goal.
All right, well, that is it for today's Watch Long. I want to thank Barnaby for joining me for all today's action and all the drama. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted.